Retailization is a SaaS company, software as a service. We're based in the Netherlands, and we use retail data to deliver supply chain decisions, order, make, buy, or ship. And we do that for allocation, replenishment, as well as for event and promotion management. We mainly focus on the fashion and sporting goods companies. That doesn't mean that we don't do other consumer goods. However, that has everything to do with my personal background, having worked for different brands and retailers in this sector. Now, until we partnered with data brokers, we used to depend on our customers to deliver the necessary data, with the results that we were limited to closed networks that were already connected. And when the product was already controlled in some form, but there was room for improvement. Our network is increasing, but of course with extended reach via data that we can get via, for example, SPS Commerce. This will help us to reduce waste in the supply chains to retail. Now, this is the problem we solve, out of stocks. Too much product means you have to mark things down, as we saw earlier. Too little means you simply miss sales. And our software analyzes every SKU, every stock keeping unit, and works out the optimal amount of inventory needed to satisfy demand, as well as the order before the next replenishment opportunity. And this system does take into account all the constraints, we call them, in the flow to retail, such as lead times, pack sizes, minimum order quantities. But there can also be, business rules like maximum space to ship or even to store. And having put that in one machine makes us able to scale the relatively simple decisions. And of course, with the use of new technology, that's becoming better and better. And our only goal is really to increase the flow of products to consumers. Now, while human nature always errs on the side of caution, we tend to overstock. So this was really the reason for the poll about redundancy or unnecessary stock. But the main reason why visitors to retail locations leave empty-handed is because they can't find what they're looking for. Usually it's the size of an item they like. And since traffic has dropped significantly and will continue to drop and then increase and drop and increase because of all these rules that are being put out there during COVID, of course, the opportunity to convert a visitor to a shopper must be captured every time. Now, while we can't guarantee perfect product availability all the time, we will make sure that out of stocks in one place are not created by unnecessary inventory in another location. And that's what we do. So it is our mission, and we've made it our mission, to eliminate waste from supply chains, where our definition, of course, is about having too much or having too little, which either wastes money, it wastes space, it wastes inventory, or it wastes consumers' time when they are looking for stuff that they can't find. Because we know software is necessary, but on its own, not sufficient to sustain good inventory management, we also invest time and money in education to align that the user behavior and the technology are doing the same thing. In fact, we had a separate session this morning where I was a guest speaker for a company that provides training for successful marketplace management. Now, there are many different ways to collaborate in supply chains to retail, and most of these emerged in the 90s. I think you may have heard about maybe some or even all of these 2, 3, or 4-letter acronyms, and all of them involve some kind of risk and revenue sharing, but none of them emerged as the one model that always makes supply meet demand. And what these models did do, however, is they raise the awareness that links in the supply chain to the consumer must actually work together, but very often the lack of a common goal, or maybe the lack of trust sometimes, and also the lack of scalable software across the supply chain prevented any of these to really take hold. I think VMI was the one that came closest, but even the scope of VMI is often limited to deliveries to the warehouse of the retailer. So the end-to-end flow is not realized. And of course, VMI then turns into JMI, or jointly managed inventory. or MI, co-managed inventory, and of course, lengthy discussions on the forecast. Now, we believe that brands and retailers should work as if they were one company, so vertical, and that the shared goal, the common objective, should be to increase product throughput from the point of supply. Now, whether that is a distributor or a warehouse of the retailer or the supplier or even a factory in the future, all the way to where consumers come to buy. In other words, they should act vertical, even if they are not. Now, the concept is very simple. Actually, we've used this picture for the last 10 years. The only change in here is that we don't use data from an ERP or from any other back office, but we use data from the brands on the one hand and from the retailers on the other hand. We still produce the same decisions to either ship or order, the same we always have. But the difference now with the platform and our partnership with SBS, that we now can welcome the independent retailers and the independent suppliers who can find themselves on the platform, and they organize themselves according to the business rules. And we then connect them, we connect the retailers to the points of supply. And then we send the instructions to order or to pick, pack, ship to either the supplier on behalf of the retailer, or we send it as a suggestion to the retailer who can then follow the normal ordering process that has been in place for probably a long time. Now, these things are just data. So these instructions, they can be packaged any way, either sent via any means. And then the receiver can then decide to act on them. Hopefully they will, and hopefully there is a product to ship.